Warning. Pro-Tri News is a podcast with different opinions, knowledge, and possibly fake news about triathlon racing. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and some stories may be dramatized for comedic effect. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pro-Tri News. I am your host, Kyle Glass, for the 240-something episode of Pro-Tri News. We are joined by, I'm going to introduce Steph first, because a lot of people will message and they're like, oh, we love that you have Steph on, and then someone messages and they're like, I don't know who Steph is. So Steph Clutterbuck, really, really good triathlete. She was an age group athlete for a while, now is a pro. And you have your own podcast, so if people want to learn more, they can go and listen to your podcast and learn more about you and who you are.
They can indeed, and it's buck the trend because my surname's Clutterbuck and it's a bit weird, so we thought we'd do a play on words. And as well as being a professional triathlete, I'm apparently really good at falling off my bike, which I did 2 days ago, so that sucks. And I've now got a very black leg, but it's quite bruised. Sitting here is quite fun, so if people are watching on YouTube and see me wriggling around, I'm really sorry if it's distracting. But yeah, I can't sit on my ass because I literally fell off my bike and sat on my ass in the process. So
that sucks. Talbot Cox, how you doing?
Good. I have just been full tilt working on this feed docu-series stuff. Super excited about. Was just in Salt Lake City with Sky Mulch and shooting her kind of episode. And then now I actually head to go see Lionel this week. And then I go out to Andorra and Copenhagen to go see Cam Worth and then Magnus. So I'm excited. Trying to get Pat to come with me, but
those are some big trips.
I'll gladly go to Copenhagen. I'll tell you what, I went to Andorra last year for an event, and I was like, this place ain't the easiest place to get to.
Dude, no, not at all. It's a flight. Anyone going to Font Romeu or Andorra, it's usually a flight to Barcelona, and then if you are an American, an insane drive up into the mountains, white knuckling the steering wheel and about to throw up.
Yeah, I wasn't so bad on the drive. It was just I was exhausted, so I pulled over and had to take a nap. So no, it was it was just full on. But no, I think I'm tuning in today I'm at Silverstone right now. So I saw a bunch of cars on the racetrack already. I was at the race in London yesterday, so I'm thrilled to come in on that. I think yeah, it was great to see. I mean, they had 5,500 age groupers in London, so we'll touch more on that later. But yeah, just a crazy quick weekend, and yeah, thrilled to make it over here.
Love it. Well, let's dive in super quick. Steph, do you want to give a recap of the women's race? Do you want me to do it?
I'm more than happy to do it.
All right.
I watched much more of the race than I was anticipating because I was not training yesterday. So yeah, I think it was a great start for the eventual winner. Lucy took it out on the first lap, and they went out hard. So I think everyone watching probably was surprised by how many people went off so hard at the start. And I think we saw some athletes paying for that. Maybe more than we've ever seen before, which is quite cool. Like, we don't tend to see actually women racing in the swim with quite so much gusto and bravery. And maybe that's the kind of short course athletes coming across and forcing people's hands a little bit. But by the end of the swim, we had Lucy Charles-Barkley, Jess Learmonth, and Kate Woff coming out together onto the bike with Taylor not too far behind coming out of transition. And then, which is probably not that surprising. I think I had thought Georgia Taylor-Brown would come out a little bit further up, but she was part of a much bigger pack that came out about a minute back. And the question I was asking throughout the bike is, when's Taylor going to bridge the gap to the front? And I think it was the longest it took her to get there, which potentially is a mix of the type of course that it is. So as well as it being multi-lap, each lap is a U-turn at either end. So it really suited the athletes that are kind of still racing at the pointy end of short course. Like, it's super technical. And so, yeah, I think, was it like 50K that it took Taylor to get to the front, but she was kind of hanging up about 30 seconds back for a really long time. And Kate Woff, Jess, and Lucy were riding brilliantly together, and then Lucy Birham was flying through from behind, and made her way right up to 5th by the end of the bike. Lucy came off first after she put in a huge surge on the final lap and took out so much time in the last couple of kilometers. But by the time they made it to the mountain line, Taylor had closed the gap back up again. So it was really fascinating to kind of watch the break come, but then it kind of closed down again. And out onto the run. I want to say the first time we had 3 women running shoulder to shoulder for a couple of kilometers, which was really great. Lucy was off first. Kate and Taylor kind of went onto the run together. And it was a case of, who's going to be brave and put their hand in the fire the most first. And Kate Woff went for it. Really, really went for it, actually. And took out, I think it was like 25 seconds, but it stayed around that for a long time. Lucy would not let her go. Taylor did drop back into that, but was really maintaining her 3rd place well. Like there wasn't really any sign of Julie Deron coming through. So I think for a while it looked like the podium was pretty set. And it was in the last lap that Lucy caught back up to Kate and passed her and just pushed, and it was a very emotional finish line. So Lucy Charles Barkley first, Kate Woff second, and Taylor with a really solid 3rd in the end. Julia Deron in 4th and Lucy Birham in 5th.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that was our best women's race we've ever seen in the T100.
I was just about to say that. I would even argue middle distance race, one of the greatest races, most competitive back and forth lead changes we've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't remember a race in history of a middle distance race that we've seen literally until 2K to go. You had no idea who was going to win the race. We've never seen this before.
Yeah, not to mention, right, how many lead changes and the shuffling that we saw on the bike. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just like, okay, Lucy leads and then everybody was tucked in behind her. It was those top, it was 3 and then it became 4 once Taylor bridged up, and they all shuffled.
Yep.
Everybody took their time. Some took some time on the front. Everybody tried to make them have a moment to get away. This course, be it that it had a lot of moments of pause or I would say just separation from going hard the whole time, it created an opportunity for those front 4 women to ultimately, when I say ride together, they were together because it just didn't have these long, 15, 20-minute sections where you just would put power down like crazy. So I think a super great race all around. Again, we thought that Kay Waugh, when she went away at, roughly pretty early on, 5 or 6K in, that it was kind of done. And all of a sudden, Lucy had, I think what was a close to 20-second deficit, and then it started to come back, and then coming into 1 to go, all of a sudden I saw it with Talbot on the phone. I was like, dude, I think it's like 8 seconds now. And then it chipped away, and then obviously the tables turned. So no, I think from a show standpoint, from a broadcast standpoint, it couldn't have been any better for the women's race. I mean, that was the kind of women's race we dream of watching.
Yeah. And what are our thoughts on Kate Waugh's performance? I mean, 2nd place, good, bad? Do you think she's happy with it?
I'd say she probably isn't, and that's testament to her as a competitor. Like, she clearly went in to win, and she played the hand that she had to win the race, and it didn't pay off. So I think if I was in her shoes, which obviously I'm not, but I would be, I think there would be an element of, God, I came so close. Like, that is frustrating. But what she's done is put herself in such an incredible position for the overall rankings, and also for it to be, like, obviously she's an incredibly seasoned competitor and is very experienced over short course racing, but this kind of middle distance world is different and is new. And she's just come in and completely stormed the T100 series. So I think it was great. I think it was great, but I think she'd be disappointed, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So there's lots of people chatting in the YouTube live stream chat on Taylor's not as good of a biker as she used to be. Steph kind of hit on it in her opening monologue. Very technical course. But I think also something else you can add to that, as sport evolves, everyone's games get risen. And so when you look at Taylor 2 to 3 years ago, and she's averaging nearly probably 300 watts, high to mid to high 200s, everyone else has to get faster, and it slowly rises. And I think when you mix the likes of Lucy Charles, Kate Waugh, some ITU athletes, and the perfect storm with a technical course, she can't shine like as much as she used to, but I would still say still the strongest cyclist in the sport right now. Thoughts?
I think that another testament to it is the reason why Pat is where he's at right now. I don't believe Taylor's ever been to a wind tunnel before, but that's about to change. There's things that you can do that help elevate your level to where you can maximize your efforts, and I think that Taylor's about to learn that.
And I think we say, like, it wasn't as strong, or she's not as strong. She still had the fastest bike split on a course that she would probably be quite happy in saying is not one that she would necessarily pick if she was to choose a course. And in her post-race interview, she was very open with the fact that she's not had a particularly great run-in to the race. So for her to deliver on all of those things and still put out the fastest bike split, despite kind of having not an ideal race scenario, I think is testament to her as an athlete. And we've seen some great bike performances from her this year across the different distances. And I mean, as a fellow competitor, it's inspiring to see her really throwing her hat into competing at the top across all of these distances and trying to be the best across all of them, which we know is incredibly hard to do. And yet she is still doing it. And she still has Kona this year, as well as trying to go after the overall series. So there's so many different things that when we've got a series that is a full season long, you're not going to be at your best for every race, and you're going to have to pick the races that you are your best at. And maybe this was one that she wasn't, but she still had the fastest bike split, which I think means that she is an incredible cyclist.
Yeah.
Well said, Steph.
Back to Pat on the bike. I want to hit on Lucy for a second, because Lucy kind of got dropped at the beginning of the race and then kind of made her way back to the front. And Lucy rode on the front probably longer than anyone in this entire field. When Taylor eventually hit the front, it was trading blows between them. It's very interesting to see Learmonth and Kate Waugh take more of a tactical race. Clearly the pace got hot for them and they went and sat in behind. Nothing wrong with it.
No, and remember, Jessica Learmonth, I don't know that she lost all of her fuel, but she for sure lost a bunch of it really early on. And so at one point there were, at the speed bumps, it wasn't the race marshals, it was the bike mechanics. They had counted 13 bottles that they collected from the women's race. And so, for instance, like one example I'll give is Georgia Taylor Brown had 2 bottles on the back of her bike. The cages sheared off where they mount, and the bottles actually landed and stayed in the cages, but the mount sheared off, right?
Wow.
So like it was a bunch of different stuff like that. So I don't know how much that played into it as well, where, somebody like, we'll use Jessica, for example, where was she riding a little bit more conservatively? Because when I saw her and thought back to Vancouver, where she was like shredding the turns, I was like, okay, early on, I was like, okay, she's going to try and do that again here. But I just didn't know if maybe she kind of toned it down a little bit, dialed it back, just knowing that, hey, like, she might have lost one of those bottles, might have had all her carb mix in them,
Yeah. I just mainly mean, and I love how good old Mark conveniently missed a podcast that Lucy absolutely annihilates the field on, because you'd have some excuses for her. So masterclass though. I mean, if I am a female long course athlete, I wasn't thinking, no one was looking at Lucy. No one was watching Lucy. we even gave her a hard time on the show. And I wasn't saying she couldn't compete with these top girls in Hamburg and stuff. I was just bummed that we didn't get to see an awesome epic show ahead of the World Championships at Hamburg with her. But she showed right here, she is a massive, massive threat to repeat in Kona and take another title. To ride at the front that aggressive, even ride away from everyone at the end of the bike and be like, I'm still a good biker. And then they ran up on her, and then she ran back through the field.
She had the fastest run split of the day. Listen,
I mean,
Lucy Charles Barclay having the fastest run split of the day, that's something that we weren't even going to be talking about in this race, let alone all year.
Yep. So I'll get to it now. So I had a previous episode, don't remember which one it was, where I said Lucy would never win a T100. Again, boy, was I wrong. So let me take that and say, was I massively wrong? She was absolutely incredible yesterday and showed a dominance that, like you said, I think we've kind of had now. I mean, I would say really each of these favorites that I'm starting to put aside in a box for favorites for Kona, they've all had one masterclass performance this year. Let's think about Kat Matthews in Texas. Insane. Let's think about Laura Phillip at Hamburg. Insane. Let's think about Lucy Charles yesterday. Absolutely insane. Taylor Knibb in Vancouver did she win, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Amazing. Julie Duran in San Francisco. So all of a sudden I think it's really building for what could be a pretty darn incredible race in October.
I'm gonna add Solveig into that mix from her racing.
Yeah. But I'm sorry. I'm really just kind of pinpointing like
T100 athletes.
Well, no, yeah, or just no. I don't know. I mean, yes, put Solveig in there too.
Yeah.
I just she turned everyone's head this weekend and instantly became. It's funny how short everyone's memory is in triathlon. Unfortunately, she missed Nice last year, so she didn't even get a chance to defend her title, and she's back flying on all colors. And I think it is very safe to say, from talking to people inside her team, she was not in any way, shape, or form prepping for T100. This was just she is all in on Ironman, so it is going to be quite honestly, looking from the outside, Nice is the sleeper this year. Going to be a very boring race. I think 10 out of 10 people could say Christian Blumenfeld's going to win. Not much of a competitive field. The female race in October, there's 5 different girls that you could have a chance to win. So
crazy. Move on to the men's race.
Please.
Just not near as entertaining as the female race this weekend, the women's race.
So Jamie Riddle let out of the swim. He ended up DNFing on the day. But aside from that, there was a front swim group of Leo Berger let out the swim. Leo Berger, and shortly behind him was Rico Bogan and Jamie Riddle and Menno Koolhaas. From there, Jelle Geens also had the swim of his career. And then they got onto the bike. Rico did what Rico usually does, which is go off the front. And he did that. Something surprising was Hayden Wild running from, I think it was 13th or 14th out of the water to catch the front of the race, which is something we have not seen. There's athletes that I'm sure have been in that realm, and they're like, man, I could never get to the front of the race. Hayden Wild did that. He was riding in second and third place all day with Mika Newt. And then run happened, and very quickly Hayden went to the front and basically didn't look back. Fastest run split of the day was Jelle Geens, and your podium was Hayden Wild, Mika Newt, and Jelle Geens. Performance that's probably not going to get talked about very much. Menno Koolhaas, who's been struggling with injuries since the beginning of the year, his first race of the year and got 4th place. And he had a lot of races on his calendar that he wanted to be doing that he hasn't been able to do. And to come out and have a 4th place like that, you could see the emotions whenever he crossed the line. So,
yeah. No, I mean, what else can you say about Hayden Wild? I mean, dude.
Mark would like to remind everyone that he got his pick right. He said Hayden was going to win. So that was the one message that I had to give today.
Karma. So, I mean, hey, Hayden, again, this is one where I was just dead wrong. I thought when he did the scapula surgery, I gave him he might come back in October, November. It was August 9th yesterday. You know, and I don't want to say he embarrassed the field, but he did kind of mop the floor with them, I would say. And I think that Hayden's probably got some vengeance that he's got to recover from 70.3 Worlds. And I think that all of a sudden he sent a really big message for November.
Yeah.
And I would say the only thing where you'd look and go, okay, maybe there's a little, let's take a moment and think about it. What could Hayden improve? Maybe he's going to feel this urge or this rush to just do a bunch of races. You know, I'm sure he's thinking about doing the double in Wollongong.
He is doing the double. No, he's doing the double in Frejus.
Okay. And I heard Wollongong too.
Yeah.
And it might be like, I would love to see him collect like some major championships now. And if this is a world where I could see him do the double in Frejus and Wollongong and then miss one later on. Right. And I think that, it's just, that's up for him, but that's my only, from the outside, that's the only thing I would look at.
I think when I look at an athlete like Hayden and his comeback, I don't in any way want to discredit what he did. Absolutely phenomenal. A lot of comparisons on some other injuries out there. I do think, though, that you have to remember when you crash and you break like an upper body bone and your scapula and stuff, you can be on the trainer a week later. You don't lose that, essentially the fitness that a lot of people think you do. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. He was running a week and a half on riding the bike trainer, running 2 weeks later after his injury. So he didn't lose too much of that bike power. Probably, I mean, he definitely lost some. Don't in any way would discredit that, but it's different than someone who, there's some rumors in the street. There's a top level athlete who has a leg injury. And when you have a leg injury, you're missing weeks upon weeks. You got a sacrum stress fracture. You're missing months of running. And so, but then again, he still proved that he can get right back in the water and have a phenomenal swim. This was kind of one of those injuries that you scratch your head and you're like, will he ever be able to swim again? Which I think was the biggest question mark out of this. But outside of that, he was in, I would say he would have won on nearly every race this year, going into the grand final. But unfortunate, but absolutely epic comeback for him.
Yeah. Steph, what are we missing? What was something that kind of caught your eye?
Honestly, I actually just was blown away by Hayden's performance. Like Talbot said, the bike and the run, you can get on the turbo really quickly and in theory start running. But that swim, to only lose a minute to the front after having shoulder reconstruction not that long ago, like he had to relearn how to swim.
Yeah.
And he was only a minute back on the best swimmers in the sport. And yes, I'm sure he would be normally at the front, but to only be that far back, especially in the men's field where the packs are the sizes they are, that's actually quite simple to make up. He gets onto the bike and he's kind of there, which is great. Menno Koolhaase's race was awesome. Leo Berger racing to 10th with his current health questions is, I think, incredibly brave, because they've just found I really don't want to get this wrong, a tumor on his sacral nerve.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And then choosing to race and race brave as well, because he tried to go with Rico at the start of the race, and in his Instagram debrief said that was probably a bit brave, and held on for 10th. I think that's a great story to hear.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know about the Leo Berger thing. He put out a YouTube video, but it's all in French, so I mean, you can watch it with subtitles on. But he basically gave everyone kind of like a, "Hey, here's what's been going on" type of thing. So, Pat, what did you learn on the ground from London?
Yeah, I think, for me, it's great that we can get on the ground at as many venues as possible, right? I didn't understand the scale of this building that the T100 is going in and out of for the race, and you can't understand that. Seeing it on the broadcast. So there's a bunch of other, there was a whole nother thing going on this weekend in this complex. So it's a shopping mall and a convention center and
High rocks competition.
It is where you would do one of those. I mean, the scale is quite impressive. Like I said, they had 5,500 age groupers. So the T100 as a whole, I would imagine the streets of London and this complex are incredibly expensive, but as an event organization that they are now, in tandem with with a professional race org, this was really impressive. I was, I don't know, 10 miles into town this morning. I was with Brad Williams, and all of a sudden we saw a T100 tent, and I was like, what are they doing over there? It was the Olympic distance triathlon that went into town and under London Bridge. So I could not believe the scope and scale and the road closures that they would have had to have done for this race. So I thought that was really cool. It's a reminder that the services that T100 offer the pro athletes are incredible. Bike mechanics, massage, the service at the race hotel, the amount of staff that they have on location. I had more than one athlete say the event, kind of the guy that's in charge of events, his name is Patrick. I had an amazing conversation with him. Ronan, who's doing all their media. I thought the quad box was a great addition to the show. Kyle and I argued. He's like, there needs to be different commentary for the quad box. And I'm like, yeah, Kyle, and I want a Ferrari. Okay. Let's not. So
it was good to have, like, once the women and men's race started, like once the races were both going on at the same time, like,
yeah,
I easily switched over to the quad box and you could see, like, still what was going on in the women's race, what was going on in the men's race. It was a little, I think that they need to tune it a little bit more, because there was times that there was like the same image in two of the boxes.
Sure.
Like if you're going to sit here and nitpick, like, we could nitpick it to pieces, but for a first showing of that, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I do think that it would be cool to have a separate commentary team doing it, but that's just,
put that under your wish list for 2037.
I just remember what I do with college football or NFL, and they usually have a separate commentary.
Kyle, we know. I think, again, where it left me, and I'm going to save this for a later pod, but I would say that it's become really clear to me that we do need the T100. We need them to be around. I think that they're making some advancements at a really high speed. This latest 20 million of funding they got them should last for 3 more years. They had, I'd say, a really unfortunate blow with this surprise construction in Valencia in the port. Super unfortunate. But I left this weekend really excited and really optimistic. They've got to figure out, I would say they're going to have 9 or 10 races next year. My gut tells me what they're going to do is it's going to be World Series style, where there is no obligation. There are no more contracts in 26, but athletes can opt in for more races. And I think they'll just take that contract money, boost a little bit of the prize money, and then say, look, if you do 5 or 6 of them, that's what we want. Right. So they've still got some of that. They're going to send out an athlete survey. That's not a secret. That's something they do every year anyway. But I was really excited, and I think that they've really pushed the sport, whether it's the 20-meter draft rule, whether it's the race ranger, whether it's the athlete services. I think it's something that you can look at and go, they're doing a lot of things right.
Yeah. I think for me, what I really appreciate about the T100 is the fact that the field gets paid. So to 20th, if you finish the race, you receive prize money. And as a professional, it it never quite sits right with me that you're paying out of your pocket to go to races with no opportunity to be paid. Or like there's no guaranteed opportunity to pay. And obviously that's never, when you've got these open fields with potentially 100+ professionals on a start list, that's not going to be feasible. But the fact that T100 want to make sure that athletes are supported when they turn up to the races financially is a huge part of why people keep going back, because it makes this an actual career for us rather than like a really expensive hobby that we do all of the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was thinking about the quad box thing that Kyle said, and I had to just Google real quick the budget NFL has, just the NFL alone, for all their streaming services. Just $12 billion a year. No big deal. No big deal.
It's not
Kyle's like,
quad box budget though.
well, it all trickles down. I mean, it
ain't that difficult. We did an alternative stream for World Triathlon. What are you talking about?
Okay, look, that's
we
fine.
did
I think
volunteering for free, and I would say it was subpar at best. Subpar.
I want to hit on something that Pat mentioned, the Race Ranger. Obviously, T100 was the first one to adopt having Race Ranger, and then Ironman moved to it as well. You guys think we're going to see this Race Ranger data from this weekend?
What perplexes me is that we've been told that it's personal data and that can't be shared. And then I thought to myself for a second, well, we get their heart rate data the whole time during the race. So what's the difference? So they got to, World Triathlon's probably got to
So let's paint the picture for our guests. T100 is not releasing the Race Ranger data from London under the guise of athlete information.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. That doesn't work for me.
Doesn't check. Doesn't work for me.
Again, if I wanted to just throw a little bit of shade at this race this weekend, right? There were some red lights going off this weekend.
You saw?
I just don't really care too much, even about Race Ranger data and red lights in a 20-meter draft. When you get to 12 meters, it's a different race. Yeah, and I think that's when it needs to be released and red lights need to be scrutinized. When you're riding at 20 and you bump into 16 a few times and 15, it is what it is. But 12 meters, you're bumping into 8, and then you're illegally drafting, and it's a whole new ball game. I'm not going to scrutinize. We're getting 20 meters. We can't knock them too hard. Like, we're getting 20 meters. Let it be what it be. But 12 meters, game for it all day long. You should be scrutinized to the end of the day.
So I guess if you could make a request to Ironman, if they're going to hold at 12 meters, would you say, hey, at least throw me something here and open up the data for Nice, Kona, and Marbella? And do we all of a sudden think that would push it?
Jimmy Riccatello, the head official at Ironman, would never allow that. So it doesn't even matter to even discuss it because he would never allow it. He wouldn't even dot his I at the 20-meter draft rule. And he says that it's not his job or he's not in charge of that. It is 100% his call at the end of the day. And I don't even want to do a hypothetical at that because it ain't ever going to happen as long as Jimmy Riccatello is at Ironman.
There we go. All right, Kyle, now that was a hot take. We haven't got to hot takes yet, but I think that we should we had a bunch of listener submissions from the weekend that I think will almost blend into hot takes. So let's keep this fire rolling.
Let's do it.
London, T100 London, great race, horrible venue. Yes, no, maybe so.
It is so frustrating. So the Excel Center, as Pat said, is the perfect hotspot to have everything. So you've got transition, you've got all of the stands, all of the registration, the finish line, it's all there. So it's really simple for the athletes. It doesn't, the age group course is a million times better than the professional athletes T100 course, because they go into London, they ride past Big Ben, the London Eye, London Bridge, all of that sort of stuff. But it is absolutely not feasible for the T100 athletes to do it because the road closures for a full weekend in London, it would never happen. It is absolutely not showcasing the best of London. The road quality is not great. There are potholes there that were there last year, and I remember them because they were marked because I was stood by them. And there's a lot of road furniture, and obviously there's lots of corners. But I think what it does give us is a different type of course than we see typically on the T100 Tour. So while it's frustrating that it's not showing the best of a city that it's at, it's actually giving us a very different style of racing. I think the one thing that's frustrating if you're a spectator on the ground, to get from the Excel Centre to the run course is a nightmare. It's like a 3-kilometer walk. So by the time you start it, you've missed half the run.
Yeah, it's got some nuance. It's got some nuances, right? Like normally I pride myself. I try to be in a spot where I can, communicate with an athlete as many times as possible with both my feet on the ground. And this was one where I was basically just in one spot, and I would just, say effectively nothing because it was just too much. Again, if this was the London race, say this is the London race that we're going to get for the next 5 years, I'm not bothered by that. I'm okay with that because 1, it's super convenient. 2, it allows for 5,500 age groupers to race on an amazing course, which I think is worth it. And then 3, we get to say that the race is in a big city. I don't know. I feel like this is, and 4, the athlete hotel is incredibly close to the venue. And 5, if it rains, hey, guess what? Yesterday I was inside most of the day just watching the race on a big screen. It was awesome in an air-conditioned big room. I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah, Talbot.
Also, to defend T100, you got to remember, it's not like that they're just like, let's find terrible venues. They work very hard to find like the best streets they can go on. I mean, so much is, and a lot of that stuff is just out of their control. Also, with the budget they have. I mean, look at Valencia. Like, this is just what happens and the nature of the beast when you are in event production. I mean, they had to cancel Valencia because of construction work going on, and so it's just like they're doing their best to do it. It's just the nature of the beast. Sam Long, this is one that someone submitted. Why is Sam Long messing around with T100?
Let me give you 2 clues. It's green and it rhymes with funny.
Money. This is where I would even say this to Sam Long. Sam Long could go and race the North American circuit and win 5 to 10 70.3s a year. I think not only that, the only thing I disagree with too on what Sam Long's doing with the T100 is it's guaranteed money. I'm aware of that. But also, too, he could make more money from sponsors, picking up new sponsors and prize money from winning these North American races. And then also, too, he's mixing in long course training for Nice while dabbling in this. I'm not a fan of it, but
yeah, let me say this, and I don't think this will come as a surprise. Let's just say the series is the exact same next year, and the rollout of the contracts and the prize money is the same. Sam Long won't do the series next year.
Sam Long will not do the series at all next year. I would be surprised if we saw Sam Long doing a race.
Yeah. Now to Sam's credit, one of the races, obviously as a North American athlete, you looked at it. I think 3 of them were all really close. San Francisco, Vancouver, and Vegas. Vegas got struck, so now he's got to find something else. That's a pain in the butt. He did San Francisco, didn't he?
No, he did Vancouver because he did Eagle Man the weekend.
Right. He shouldn't have done Eagle Man. He should have done.
No, he should have done it. He needs the wins. The wins.
Okay, but my point is that San Francisco is a downhill swim for him. So it's the one race, it's the one T100 race that he can come out with a sub 70-second deficit.
Yeah,
I put him in the mix to win one of them. I mean, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying this was the prism that he was looking through to try and make his decisions, right?
The only race I see Sam doing next year is on the Triathlon Hour. Jack Kelly announced that there's a T100, or it's going to be a T200 next year in Vegas. They announced that on their show, and so I think that if we see him racing, it will be at that race in that venue. So,
whatever. I mean, keep it rolling. What's the next one?
This one is for Steph. It is Ashley Gentle done for?
Oh no, definitely not. I think we talked about it earlier with kind of the point about, is Taylor no longer the best or whatever it was. People are just up their game, and we all have highs and lows. And she came 7th or 6th and she won last year, but that doesn't mean she's done for. She's just having a rough season. Like, I don't think you can ever count out an athlete that's got the class that Ash has and has won as much as she has. And we'll see her winning again. I'm absolutely sure of that.
Does Ironman affect T100 form?
Yes.
For the full distance, of course.
Of course. Yeah. I would go as far to say that's why you don't see any of those guys on the start list this year. They know how much it does. And so they were like, our focus is Ironman and the World Championship. That's why you've seen a new breed of short course athletes that have gone into it.
I think there's
100%.
one person it probably doesn't affect.
Who?
Christian Blumenfeld.
We haven't even seen him toe the start line at a 200 this year. And Christian, if you're listening,
He is.
I do think you would get tuned by Hayden in a T100.
You're poking
Hayden would take the screws to KB.
I know. Even this weekend, Christian, with Hayden, broken scapula, missed a couple weeks of training.
Here's the deal.
There's only one way we could figure out if Christian is actually good at T100, and that's if after you win your world title in a couple weeks in France, let's see you go head to head with Hayden, and let's see who the best athlete in the world is.
Grace us with your presence. We want to see it.
I'm gonna
wait. One more second. I got to say one more thing onto that. And in doing that, Christian, I need you to skip 70.3 worlds. You and all the Norwegians, just please skip 70.3 worlds. All right, now let's go on. Pat.
Moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
T100 was boring. Are these the best athletes in the world?
I mean, it definitely wasn't boring this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know what race you were watching, but it wasn't the one that we were all tuned into.
You don't think it was the T100 London race?
No, it's got to be a different one. That was entertaining. That was great. That was exciting. And I think we'll always have the question that, are these the best athletes in the world? And some of them are, yeah, and we've got people that are missing too. And the beauty is sometimes, we don't necessarily get to see them racing each other all the time because we've got people specializing in different distances. And actually, if they all line up against each other, it becomes really anticlimactic because you've got people specializing for different things. But yeah, the race was not boring. And yes, I would say that these certainly are some of the best athletes in the world.
I wrote down a lot of thoughts on this, and it's probably going to be better. Pat, are you still on the call, or are you frozen right now? I think that I should probably just hold my thoughts. But I will say it is very concerning to see. This was arguably one of the greatest weekends of racing as far as entertainment, excitement, an incredible comeback story. One of the most competitive female middle distance races we've ever seen. And you have 5,000 people on the live stream.
That's just on YouTube. That's just on the YouTube, though.
I think numbers, whatever. I highly doubt that people are turning on Eurospurt and they're getting these millions and millions of views.
It's geo-fenced.
You go turn on any ultra marathon race. There's 45 to 75,000 people watching. You go turn on CrossFit Games. There's 200,000 people watching. 5,000 people. If I'm an investor, I'm scratching my head and I'm saying, why are our views not higher This is the pinnacle of sport right now.
Okay.
T100. The pinnacle of racing.
Okay. No. I'm not gonna say that you're wrong. I'm not gonna fight you on the numbers because for all I know, it could be 35,000 total, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what we can no longer do is look at the YouTube views and then make an estimation of that. Because here's the deal. In Europe, you're watching it on TNT. In the US, all of it's done on HBO Max now. So
Or YouTube.
right. And so at home, it's easier for me to flip on HBO Max and just see it on there. Now, I agree. It would be nice if it was all done on YouTube, because then we could actually see it.
They
right?
wouldn't want to do that because you would not want your investors to see that.
Well, that's the flip side, right? So I agree. When
you turn on Ironman Frankfurt YouTube, you turn on the Ironman Frankfurt YouTube, who's also on Eurosport and all these other different platforms, and don't forget too, Ironman Frankfurt is not on YouTube in America, and you got 15,000 people watching the finish. That number speaks for itself. I just think that people still can't relate to a different distance.
No,
don't get me wrong. I want it to survive. I want T100 to be.
No, you're not wrong.
It's incredible for the athletes. It's done wonders for the sport. I mean, if it wasn't for T100, there wouldn't even be the Ironman Pro Series. And
let's go on the flip side of this one then. Let's argue this side. How much better T100 is over Ironman?
From an athlete services standpoint, it's not even a competition.
Not at all. Content, everything.
From a brand recognition standpoint, they are still, the T100 is still leaps and bounds behind, and that's not their fault. Ironman has a 40-year head start, but the reality is that in most of the eyes, we'll use Steph as an example here. She would be better off winning
70.3.
No, what is the lowest? What is the easiest? What is the weakest quality of field women's Ironman there is?
This is where I'm going to offend a whole host of listeners, but it would probably be a 70.3 or a full distance in Asia. Typically, there's never many.
Okay, I think you got to go like up one level from that then. So let's use like Kalmar this weekend, right?
Or you could say like a race like 70.3 Pennsylvania that should be very, very weak field. Any top level athlete should have walked in and win that with their eyes shut.
It would be more valuable to Steph's sponsors for her to win that race than for her to be fourth or third at T100 this past weekend.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
And that's not T100's fault. That's just the reality of how they sit in that hierarchy. Yeah. But from an athlete experience standpoint, from an athlete service standpoint, the T100 is so far in front of Ironman right now. It would blow your mind.
Yeah. And we get criticized for saying that.
Sorry. And I want to go one spot further on this. As an athlete who you're representing yourself and your brands, this weekend, T100 makes a catalog of images. So I can go into my phone as an agent. I go into my phone. I use the Greenfly app. I've got 40 images of Taylor that I can send out to her sponsors to use free of charge for their social media use, period. So I think that's just a huge one from an athlete services standpoint that needs to be recognized.
Yeah, I mean,
that's good enough. The next one is T100 stepped up this weekend, and Ironman should be nervous. I kind of want to talk about that a little bit from a standpoint of like, I do remember there's times that you get taken very well, like you get looked after doing an Ironman race, you looked after doing a T100 race. It just depends on kind of what you're looking for. So like, I would recommend anyone to go and do a T100 race, do a 70.3, and then compare it for yourself.
Here's what I would be doing. What was the question, Kyle? Should Ironman be nervous?
Yeah.
They should be taking him seriously now, and I'll tell you why. You got the original investor, Mike Moritz, sitting front and center for this latest round of 20 mil that they got. Dude's not giving up. And if I was at Ironman, I'd be looking at that going, they're not stopping. Let's figure out a way we can either work together, or what are we gonna do? But I hope it's work together.
And I think from an athlete point of view, we've got more so this year than last year people choosing to do the T100 over Ironman. I think last year we saw most people trying to balance both, whereas this year we have people that have picked one over the other, and the ones that have picked Ironman aren't in the series. And there is a good mix of people that are doing both, but there are definitely athletes that are only doing T100 this year. And I think that in itself needs to make Ironman nervous, because that has the implication of impacting the strength of the 70.3 fields specifically, especially at the World Championships.
Fair. Yep. I think that there's more athletes this year also not qualified for 70.3 World, so they have to focus on T100. Just to add another layer to it. One last one for this segment. Some athletes can't handle the 20-meter draft. True? False?
I mean, I guess what do they mean by handled? Like, yeah, those that are less strong on the bike won't be able to hang with people that they would be able to at 12 meters, but that I don't know if that's them not handling it.
We during our Kona vlogs a couple years ago, we asked Christian Blumenfeld this question, and we were joking about changing the rule like that a couple days before Kona, and he said that like these athletes, like as an athlete, you train for a distance. So these athletes probably structurize their training around like when you're racing T100 and it's a 12-meter gap, you're going to have to up your 20-meter gap. You're going to have to up your cycling and make sure you can ride with the group and all that. And so it's kind of like what he says. They structure their training and train at those, I don't know, those distances and stuff. So yes, to answer the question, yes, there's a lot of athletes that they expose their weaknesses on the bike, but I don't know how much of that we've seen outside of like someone like Jason West, if that makes sense. And of course, you got a bunch of wild cards that come in and all that, but yeah.
Lastly, there's a couple of big races coming up this weekend. Last qualifications for the Ironman World Championship
races
in Nice and Kona.
I don't know if these are big.
Ironman Copenhagen and Ironman Kalmar.
Yeah. Kalmar will be an interesting one. You have a former world champion, Chelsea Sodaro, who struggled with injury all year, and this is kind of the Hail Mary to get. She just needs to. If I could, someone correct me if I'm wrong. She just needs to complete.
Just needs to finish.
So,
and then you also have a couple more athletes: Nikki Bartlett, Marlene de Boer, who are vying for a Kona slot. There's only one slot available out after the qualification, so
I'm not sure. I don't know if Nikki listens. I'm not sure if she'd take a Kona slot. She's definitely racing. She says she's racing Ironman Wales, and she doesn't tend to race in Kona. She doesn't like the heat, so yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she would take a slot. I could be completely wrong though.
You think Hannah Monday is going to lead out the swim?
Yeah, I would be very surprised if she doesn't. I think Hannah Monday leads out the swim. But there's also Katarina Wolf, who's further down the list, who I think is also missing a Kona slot, but she raced in Nice last year. Yeah. So I think actually that slot could be I think it could be a good race. I really hope it's a good race.
Yeah. Cool. So you got those two races. You also have two 70.3s, one in Louisville and one in the Czech Republic. So you will be able to track those. You can't watch them live, but couple more hot takes. These are not, I would say, not as associated with the T100, but something that we can talk about would be what race is more important in phrase use, the World Triathlon Championship Series, so the short course race, or the T100?
I have a good answer for that. Who cares? And this is why. It's a triathlon weekend. It's not whether one's more important than the other. It's that this is a brilliant idea from World Triathlon and T100 to get people to come enjoy, to watch both sides from short course to long course athletes, and it's a win overall for triathlon. So there's not one that's more important. You'll have someone like Morgan Pearson who will do mediocre at both. I bet he goes top 20 in the T100, and I don't know what in the.
I hope he goes top 20.
He should. I stole that line from Flora Duffy, who actually told Morgan that at the pool. She was like, I bet you could go top 20 in the T100 if you did both. And he goes, yeah, I should. And she's like, there's only 20 people. He's like, oh yeah, that's right.
I think, this is what we talked about this could have been 75 shows ago where I said, this makes all the sense in the world.
Incredible.
This venue in London, they could easily do a World Series race there. They could easily do a World Series race in tandem with that. That would not be complicated at all. It's all set up already. Would it be different, like running upstairs for a huge weird set of stairs? They did that at the Olympics. Who cares? I think that they should look for this, and to have these mega weekends where we're doing 4 races, debrief on it. I think that makes all the sense in the world. So I think this weekend in Frejus being at a festival, I love it. Can't wait to talk about it.
The only thing a lot of people are upset about is they changed the bike course for the age group race for the Frejus. So now the pros have the beautiful 1-lap course, and all the age groupers are doing a 10-loop bike course.
Well, they're going to have to suck it up every once in a while. The 10-loop bike course for the age groupers, that's going to be interesting. Okay. That's going to be on your left.
Slap race ranger on every age group athlete on that.
On your left.
Yeah, they can't give out any drafting penalties, can they? Like, that would be so unfair.
Oh gosh. Pat, did you get a sponsorship for the podcast for Ice Company?
Look, the
guys, let me start this for Pat. I'm texting Pat and I'm like, have you bumped into Reese yet? And Pat's like, no, I haven't. And I always talk to Reese on the phone. I'm like, have you bumped into Reese? And then I see the live stream and it's the finish line and Pat's talking to Reese. And I'm like, I'm texting Pat, tell Reese what's up. And then Pat texts and he's like, dude, I'm icing my nuts right now. Reese just kicked me so hard.
So I called Kyle and I said, I need you to Google a pharmacy. And he's like, for what? And I go, bag of ice. Look, I said Lucy would never win another T100. The funny thing about this show.
You say another. This is her first T100 win.
Sorry. This is her first T100. I said she would never win one. I was wrong. Happy to be wrong. I think it's worth noting that this show is an opinion show. We have opinions. Sometimes we're right. More often we're wrong. We're not going to rub in the moments that we're right, but let's acknowledge the moments that we're wrong. And so I think the reality is that we say things that are our opinions, and not everybody agrees with every opinion that we have. This show would be very boring if we were just monotone, flat, and had nothing fun or up or down to say, right? And so I think it's fair that I to be challenged and to say, hey, look, you said she'd never win. She won. You're wrong. Yep, I was wrong. That will happen again. So yeah, no dramas at all on my end. I thought it was really fun. We had a great conversation. I thought hopefully I gave Reese some advice on some stuff. I hope he took it to heart, and I can't wait to cheer Lucy on in Kona.
Pat told me, and I was just stoked. I was like, wow, Reese and Lucy probably listen to the podcast. That's great.
Think about the amount of people last year that said in this new day and age with this new crop of athletes, Patrick Lang will never win an Ironman world title again.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, if someone from T100 doesn't win 70.3 worlds, it will hurt their brand.
I don't think so.
No, that's not true.
Not in the slightest. I think there are enough athletes that have made their own decision to not do T100 that I don't think it makes any difference at all.
I agree. I just think like there's no reason why if Christian wants to think he's the best athlete in the world that he should go to 70.3 Worlds. If he wants to win, he needs to go race Hayden at T100. So skip 70.3 Worlds.
Next one, Pat has a new favorite athlete.
New favorite athletes.
Oh,
I'm putting out a huge umbrella here. So I don't know that we've talked about it on the pod, but myself and Gwen are become investors in Wove saddles. So now anyone that has a Wove saddle, I'm a huge fan of. So we talked about Christian earlier on the pod, Christian Blumenfeld.
We don't have enough alliances around here, Pat. I'm
You
glad
need to buy,
we're adding one more.
I would recommend you buy whatever saddle Christian Blumenfeld and Lucy Charles are using. I think that would help you tremendously in your future triathlon results. So,
I you know what? I actually do have a Wove saddle because I stole it out of Lionel's garage because he never put it on his bike. And it actually, I was like, are you going to use this? And he's like, no. So I took it and I actually have it. It actually is pretty incredible. So, all right. Y'all want to do picks?
For what?
For Kona. I got Lucy.
What are you doing Kona picks right now? Bro,
Lucy's going to win. After this weekend, Lucy's going to win. I thought we might as well just do our picks now and get it over with.
Oh, mate. Come on.
All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. Love the banter, and I apologize if we offended any of you. No, all jokes aside, it's all good to have a good banter. Love running into people out there. Thanks to everyone who always runs up to us. I know a lot of fans met Pat and defined him as famous in London. Pat, that story Pat was telling me about. No, but we really enjoy you guys listening. We are so excited for what's to come. We have a lot of live shows coming up. We're going to pretty much all the World Championships. We are coming into World Championship season. We have a lot of stuff we planned for you guys, whether it's giveaways, partnership announcements, and kind of everything under the sun. So there's no better place. We are the #1 podcast in triathlon. So make sure you share this with your friends, and we will see you on the next one.